Don't worry about me.
Those were her dying words. She was back, days later. I could grip her exposed, reinforced spine. She became a scapegoat, a special anti-mech core weapon. These weapons are made from the dead bodies of our comrades.
Thanks for clicking on the video. Today we are reviewing Soul Covenant on the PSVR2, but it's also available on Meta Quest. Now I want to be straight with you guys, I've not been a massive follower of Japanese style games. I am however a fan of Final Fantasy, and I've played a lot of that franchise. When it comes to Japanese VR games, we have Discronia, which looks somewhat similar, and I haven't played that series. So if you're a fan of those style of games, it might be worth your time searching for another review of Soul Covenant after watching this video. Now, as I said, it is very Japanese and extra full of dialogue and has more sequences of story than actual gameplay. Each chapter is shown as a memory, and every memory has 4 segments, and each of those contains 2 parts of the story and 1 action sequence. The entire game is laid out this way, and you'll do a lot of standing and listening, or in my case I chose to sit down after a while once I realised the gameplay style. The story itself is actually quite good while a bit strange, and as the story progresses, each of the main characters will eventually die and they become your weapons for you to use in battle, which in itself is really cool. You yourself cannot die, you keep being reborn and ever improving. This does change a little bit later in the game, but I won't tell you any more about that just in case you want to pick it up so there's no spoilers. The weapons are exceptionally cool looking and transformed to be used as a secondary weapon, and they all have different finishes. The graphics and art style were very cool, and the music is actually brilliant. It definitely gave me Final Fantasy vibes, but unfortunately, this is where the positivity comes to an end. The bit I was personally most excited for due to the trailers was the combat, and in all honesty, it's just mindless controller waggling and there's no risk to it at all. If you die during a battle, which I let happen multiple times, you get resurrected by an invincible teammate and the fighting just continues. It can be semi-satisfying if you want to attempt to roleplay, I guess, and make it stylish, but ultimately you do have a time limit to kill the bosses, and that will just lead to frantic controller waggling. You do have a super move that's pretty cool. You earn this by killing and collecting some soul-like substance from dead mech bugs. But even when I got this fully leveled, I felt no real satisfaction or impact from using it, aside from the fact it looked cool. And there is one other pretty unique flaw to this game, and that is world wobble. I don't really know how else to describe this issue because I've never seen it before. All I can say is if you stand perfectly still, the game wobbles. And for those of you who are sensitive to reprojection, this game is reprojected on PSVR2, so I would guess it will be also using asynchronous space warp on Quest 3. But I didn't get to test that version because I wasn't allowed access. So far I've played for 3 to 4 hours, and I reckon there's maybe another 1 to 1.5 hours left, unless they include some sort of never-ending mode. I could be wrong, of course. There's only 1 more chapter slot left, which means 4 more fights, which means the game contains 20 sequences of fighting. To summarise my time spent with Soul Covenant today, it hasn't been amazing, but it's not been a complete waste of time. It's actually been quite interesting to play this style of game. I don't mind the story, the graphics and the colours look awesome, the weapons definitely look very cool, and there is headset haptics, but it's definitely unimpressive when it comes to the actions and mostly everything else. Nothing is solid, the weapons have no weight, and if you play this like you're imagining running as fast as you can just with your arms while standing still, you simply cannot lose. So there it is. It's not something that I particularly would go back to play again. I am pleased to see this style of game on PSVR2 and Meta Quest 3, but in all honesty, the combat for me was a real letdown, and it's a real shame because I think that's really part of the satisfaction of games like Final Fantasy. Sure, I love the story, but I always loved the combat sequences. And as I said, all you need to do is waggle your controllers as fast as you can. But anyway, thank you ever so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe, and I will see you on the next video.
Yes.
Square up already. You're looking pale. You think you're going to be able to fight like that?
When the time comes, make sure to pick up my bones.